So, yeah, we are live now.
Thank you. Yeah, I can see that. Happy Sunday.
Same here.
Mm. How was service?
Yeah, it went well.
Okay. So I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. We are live now.
Okay, so I can start.
Yes, ma. You can start, ma. You
Okay.
can.
Wow. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be in this program today. It's a huge honor. Honestly, it's a huge honor because it's not uh, every day that you get the opportunity to share knowledge, especially knowledge in something that you're very vast in and knowledge that can change lives. So thank you so much for having me in this program today. My name is Rose Joseph Ume, as you can see on my screen. Apologies for having another name on the flyer. So it happened that marriage happened and my name changed from Rose Jonathan to Rose Joseph Ume, like you can see, but this is my name now. So this evening, I'm going to talk about something that is very, very relatable, something that a lot of people seem to know, but a lot of people don't know. I know how contradictory what I just said sounds, but that's exactly the truth. Some people know this, but a lot of people don't know this about their own lives. So before I go fully into my session, I'd like to issue an apology. In case you hear any sound in the background, please have mercy. Forgive me. I'm trying so hard to reduce the noise, but some people have a mind of their own. So this evening, I've been asked to take on a topic titled Awaken Your Giant. Awaken Your Giant. And the truth is that I am very, very excited to be taking this topic because it is something that is very, very relatable and something that anybody can put into action immediately. I don't know if you've heard the saying that action would always supersede inaction, no matter how small that action is. So, this topic we're discussing today is an action filled topic that you can take and run with it. So, let me start by giving this illustration. Have you ever been to a photo studio before? A photo studio? Or have you ever taken a photo before? Have you ever gone to the studio to take a picture before? And after taking that picture, you tell the studio manager or you tell the photographer that you want to have that picture edited. So you say, I want you to edit this picture for me. I know it's fine, but just edit it. You point out areas that you want the photographer to touch. It could be the contrast, the highlights, it could be anything. Have you ever gone to the studio to take a picture like that? Now, when the photographer finishes editing the picture and releases it to you, you look at it and you're like, wow, this is so nice. I mean, it doesn't even look like me. I know I'm fine, but wow, see how bright the picture is. That is exactly how every human is. Every human being is an edited picture in the eyes of God. Every human being is an edited portrait. But it's just that sometimes, most times, when you're still developing, when you're still on your way to that place where you should be, it doesn't look like it. There was a time I took a picture and I looked at it and I told myself that, wow, this couldn't have been me. It was so clear, it was so bright. That's how every human being is. In the eyes of God, what he's seeing is not that raw photo of you. What he's seeing is an edited photo of you. And you too will begin to see that edited photo of you when you awaken your giant. When you awaken your giant, you begin to transit from the level of just a person who lives and does everything like every other person to a person who is intentional about their growth. That is why we are here today to discuss the topic of awakening your giant. Before I go further, I want you to know that every human being is a sleeping giant. Every human being is a giant, only sleeping. I took my time to go through this topic of giants to find out the definitions of this particular word giant. Because most times you find people using the word giant, they tell you stories about giants like Goliath in the Bible, giants everywhere. And when they see an extremely huge person, they say, this person is a giant. So a giant simply means a creature of huge size. a creature of extreme size. In this part of the world, in our world, there's a way a human being is supposed to look like, and there's a size that a human being is supposed to be. So when a creature passes that size and passes that normal size and enters another totally different size, that person becomes a giant, or we refer to such a person as giants. Now, giants have characteristics. I'm taking my time to talk about the giants because everything we're going to talk about today will come from the story of who a giant is, or from the standpoint of who a giant is. Now, a giant has various characteristics. Please, I'd like you to follow me closely. A giant has several characteristics. And the first characteristic of a giant, I've already said it, is that a giant is huge. A giant is large. It's very, very large. Now, someone might begin to ask, if I said a few minutes ago that every human being is a giant, only sleeping, how come I am this small in size, but a giant is supposed to be large? I know there may be questions like that. A giant is supposed to be a creature of large size. And I just said that every human being is a sleeping giant. How is that possible? Now, if you're asking this question, I'd like you to refer to what I defined already, what I talked about already. The fact that every human being is like an edited picture in the eyes of God. But to you, you may not be that edited picture yet because you've not awakened, because you've not gotten to that place of destiny. But when you get awake, you become that giant. You exercise the abilities that are as large and enormous as a giant. Most people in our world today want to make impact. If I take a walk down the street and ask at least every 3 to 5 persons I find on the street, especially if they are young, and ask them questions like, would you like to be great? It would be like asking an obvious question because everybody wants to be great. Then you ask, do you want to make impact? Of course, everybody would say yes, or rather, most people would say yes. And I go on to ask other questions that have to do with greatness. Everybody would say yes. But how many people are really great? How many people are even in the process of becoming great? Not a lot. And that goes to show that not many people are awake. I mean, in our generation, we see people every day walk past us, but we don't know that most of them are sleeping beings. Most of them are sleeping beings because it is obvious from the way they live their life that they have not come to that sense of awakeness, that sense of awareness, which I will talk about later. So don't forget, we're talking about the characteristics of a giant. And I said a giant is of an enormous size. So when you begin to exhibit attitudes, attributes that enlarge you, people begin to wonder, who is that person? Why is she acting this way? Why is she? There's something about her. Then that means you're beginning to tap into your giant nature. And it's my prayer that before we finish, that you would learn how to awaken the giant within. Now, the second attribute of a giant is that a giant's physical size depends on its nationality. I'm a Nigerian. That's why I look this way. There's a way Nigerians look. If you see a Kenyan, or you see a Ghanaian, or you see a South African, an American, or a white person, a British, you will know. Because of their nationality, it affects their background, it affects their physical look. You don't even need anybody to tell you that this person is Oyibo if you see an Oyibo. And that is why when you find someone of a particular tribe or a particular nationality looking like somebody from another nationality, people call that person the name of that nationality they look like. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. So if you find a person, an African, a Nigerian, who is so light-skinned, very light-skinned with pointed nose, and some people call them Oyibo. Why? Because they exhibit the physical attributes of an Oyibo. That same way, a giant reflects to the extent of its nationality. An African giant, for example, cannot look like an American giant unless there is crossbreeding. Same way, an American giant cannot look like an African giant except there's crossbreeding. That goes to show that you, as a human being who has a giant inside you, cannot look like anything that you are not. And as far as I'm concerned, every human being came from God. I don't really know your spiritual orientation or belief, but this is my belief. Every human being has the nationality of God. We have the DNA of God inside us. And that means that we reflect our kind. That's why we are creative. That's why we are smart. That's why we are curious. That's why we are diverse. That's why we love variety. Because obviously we came from the DNA of a person who loves variety, who is smart, who is creative, and who is super intelligent, who is God. So before you look forward to awakening your giant, you must understand the origin of your giantness. If there's a word like that, if there's none attributed to me, you must understand the nationality of your breed. You must understand that as long as you believe, or as long as you come from this, it's almost impossible to talk about awakening giant without talking about God, without talking about the place of awareness or fellowship, because we are only a giant because we came from a giant. We are only a giant because we came from a giant. So when we begin to realize the origin of our nationality, then it would reflect our lifestyle as giants. And thirdly, a giant roars and snacks on anything that bothers it. When I went forward to read on the article I was reading about giants, I discovered that when a giant feels threatened, just like me and you, when like something can happen and we become afraid, when a giant feels threatened, what it does is to roar, and then it snacks on that thing, the subject of its fear. So if it sees a human being coming and is looking at you, it feels maybe you have a gun or something, and you can constitute a nuisance or constitute danger to him or her. By the way, a female giant is called a giantess. If the giant or giantess feels that you may constitute a nuisance, they roar to shake you, and then they snack on you. Now let's relate it to us as a human being. We are supposed to roar and snack on anything that stops us from constant reawakening, from constant awakening, because there's something I have discovered about becoming or purpose. You never get to a destination where you say, oh, I have attained my purpose. Someone said, as long as you're breathing, you're still attaining purpose. You're still in the process of attaining purpose. Now, if that is true, that means that you have to every day reinvent yourself. You have to every day wake up, because even bathing, you bath every day. It's not because you didn't have your bath yesterday, but because you realize there's an importance of bathing again today. The same way there is importance of constant reawakening if you're going to really become anything. Because what you know today will be old by tomorrow, and what you knew yesterday is already old. That is why you have to constantly assess, constantly evaluate, constantly invent and reinvent, learn, unlearn, relearn, because the world is an evolving world. And if you're going to really awaken the giant inside you, then you have to awaken that part of you. Then you have to constantly learn, and then if you're going to do that effectively, it means that anything that comes around you that hampers your productivity or stops you from getting into that realm that you're supposed to operate as a giant, then you have to roar and snack on it. It's unfortunate that many people are not living their dream lives. And I'm not talking about people working to live their dream lives, or talking about people who understand that they have a dream life, or there's a supposed dream life. I'm talking about people who don't even know that there's something called the dream life, that they feel it's just normal to just whatever being normal means. It's unfortunate, and I hope that is not the case of anyone listening to me today. Now let me tell you something. As large as a giant is, it can be outsmarted by a little boy of intelligence. This is another characteristic of a giant, which I believe, God, that it would not be our case. By the time we're done, if there's even anybody here who exercises this kind of tendency, then I believe, God, that shade of ignorance would have wiped away. As big as giants is, I've talked about the power of a giant. It's so large and enormous, it can do anything. But it's unfortunate to realize that a small boy of intelligence, you could say 5-year-old, 8-year-old, 10, can outsmart a giant as big as it is. That's because giants are physically large but mentally small. Giants are physically large and mentally small. Now let me bring that down to say that if you're not greatly inspired, you'll be an ant, even though you have giant tendencies. If you're not greatly inspired, you will be an ant, even though you have giant tendencies. You always live below your means. You always live below everything you're supposed to be because you're not greatly inspired. If you look at that word giant, you'll find GI before the ant. I think it will mean greatly inspired. So if you're not greatly inspired, you always be an ant. The giant, the physical giant I'm talking about here, does not understand the extent of its abilities. It is large, it is huge, it is enormous, it has enormous strength, it can do and undo a lot, but it doesn't understand it. It thinks it's just about roaring and snacking on people. That is why a boy, an intelligent boy, can outsmart it. So I want you to look into your life now and see if there are areas in your life where you're not greatly inspired. If you see those areas, evaluate them critically, and you understand that you're not bold, you're not living your best life there. I have my own areas too, and I'm constantly evaluating them, because if I don't evaluate them, there will be no inspiration, and I will be an ant in those areas, despite the fact that I have the ability of being amazing things. Intelligence, like I talked about, starts with awareness. Nobody can be intelligent. Nobody can be termed intelligent if they don't come to the awareness of who they are. Even if you are, I don't know, let's use this as an example. A child who is in school, who comes first position all the time. If you check their records, they are always coming top of their class because they are aware of all they are being taught. If that child was not aware of all the things they are being taught, they cannot assimilate. They cannot even study it and understand it before assimilating it and becoming the top of their class. So that goes to show that the proof of intelligence is awareness. I mean, the guiding stone of intelligence is awareness. Until we become aware of the fact that we need to awaken the giant in us, then we can never become intelligent to make the most out of our lives. We can never become intelligent enough to make the most out of our lives. And I don't know if you've not gotten it yet. When we talk about awakening the giant in us, we talk about awakening those abilities inside us. Those abilities that we were born with. Those abilities that we can conquer the world with. I don't know if you know, but you're not conquering the world with any external thing. You're conquering the world with the abilities you already have inside you. If you're looking for someone to come from Jericho and tell you all the amazing things you have, I used to be like that. I mean, even till now, let's be honest, it would be very amazing if someone comes to me and tells me, Rose, today you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. Tomorrow, you're going to do this, do that. I mean, if someone gives me a rundown of my life, Kai, I go like a more, because it will make the work less stressful for me. But let's face it, is there anybody coming to tell me exactly how my life would go one day, 1 minute to the next minute to the other minute until I get old? No. So it is left for me to understand that I have things inside me already, and I can bank on those things to keep expanding my capacity. So you must understand that whatever will make you great is not something you acquire from anywhere. I mean, you can acquire knowledge to become better in those areas, but you already have them inside you. There was a time I got so angry, and maybe I am still a little angry, with Christians who all they do is go to God in prayers all the time. I got so angry. I mean, how can you be praying so much and doing so little? You go to our prayer houses today, everywhere is filled to the brim with people calling on God to come and do miracles. But then those miracles are miracles that God has given you the ability to do. Mind you, I'm not saying you shouldn't pray. I'm not saying that there's no place of prayer. There's always a place of prayer. But I'm talking about the place of other thing after prayer. There's this saying that you're supposed to pray as if your life depends on it. And then work as if your life depends on it. You pray as if you don't work. You work as if you didn't pray. That is how I think people can become anything. But you find that to be the contrary in our world today, because most people are going to prayer houses thinking that God will open the heavens and pour blessings on them. He does. But then it's not what you're doing today that you become something from. He even said it in his words that whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your mind. So if you just pray alone and go and sleep, you keep sleeping and come back to pray. And anyway, there'll always be the upsurge of churches, so you always find where to pray. What I'm saying is understand that whatever will make you great is inside you already. Then when you understand that, you can come to that awareness, you can come to that discovery part that would help you become that person, which we'll talk about soon. Now let's talk about something called identity crisis. Identity crisis is linked to the awakening of the giant in you. Do you know that I feel that most of the problems we have in our world today is as a result of identity issues? People have terrible identity problem. People have misconceptions even about themselves. There was a time I went for an event and they were talking about stereotypes, talking about misconceptions and how people have misconceptions of others. As amazing as that sounds, people have misconceptions about themselves too. And that is why you see people being anything, just trying to get by, because to them, that is all that matters. But when a person comes to that awareness or awakens the giant inside them, you will discover that you're much more than you think you are. I mean, all these identity issues where people think they are one thing when they are not, or they have self-esteem issues all the time, have threatening lifestyle all the time, have a mindset issues. It's just because, Kai, you've not taken time to understand that you are more than you look. I know this program has been going on for what, 2 days, and I hope that at the end of it, you with the other knowledge you have gathered, with the other information you have gathered from other people, that you also come to the realization of who you truly are. I mean, man is a spirit who has a body. Man is a spirit who has a soul and lives in a body. So it is not just this thing that we are. Even if you find yourself to be born with a disability, your life is not just about this. I mean, it's good to have a good physical look. Yeah. But that's not all that matters. There are people with good physical look who are not much. So your life is not this thing. You're a spirit. It means you can interact with spiritual realms. It means that you can understand what other creatures cannot. I mean, that's what's different from human beings, because those creatures don't have spirits. I know there's a school of thought, of philosophy, that believes that even animals have spirits. I leave them to judge themselves, but as long as I'm concerned, they don't have spirits. And that's what makes us different. Because we have different spirits, we can interact. We can interact, we can boom, we can be anything that we want to be. If we trace it down to the origin of man, when man was created, we will see that man is not like any other person. And when I say man, I'm not talking about those people in the Bible. I'm talking about you too. So these identity issues that we have, someone knowing not knowing who they are, not having that right self-belief, self-esteem, mindset. It's just because we've not awakened. We're still sleeping. We're still sleeping. We're still so far away. In fact, some of us are not even sleeping. We are snoring. Some of us have even forgotten where we slept off at. It's more like, where did I even sleep off from again? You know? So every human being lives in a cocoon until there is some sort of awakening. A cocoon, or should I say a covering, it's like an egg. Every human being, until you get aware or you awaken the giant inside you, is like chicken inside egg. So the egg is like this and the chicken is inside it, and every day the chicken moves or winds itself inside that egg, but it can't come out, probably because it's not time yet. But the time when it gets awake, the time when there's some sort of awakening, what happens? The chicken breaks up like this and comes out and emerges. Most of us are still being limited by the things we see around us because we have not awakened. When you get awake, even those things that you think were distractions or limitations to you, you begin to turn them into opportunities, because being awake is more of, once I was blind, but now I can see. It's more of, wow, so I can do all these things and I didn't know all this while. That is what it means to be awake, to begin to find areas of yourself that you didn't even know existed. And then you begin to tap into it and you were like, wow, so this thing has me. I mean, recently I discovered this part of me that I didn't even know. You know, when I discovered this part, I was like, guy, are you kidding me? This has been here. Oh no, I tapped into it immediately. So that is what it means when you come to that awakening, because awakening causes the realization of purpose, and awakening cannot be complete without awareness. I wrote down here that every day thousands of people pass by the streets of life, but it is only the awake that see opportunities and utilize them. It's only when you're awake that you can see opportunities. It's only when you are awake that you can see solutions to problems. It's even when you are awake that you can find a problem that you can solve. It's funny to know that sometimes we pass through or pass by a place that there are plenty problems. They're screaming for our attention. But because we are not awake, it's not even a problem. We think it's normal. We think it's normal. This is just like a child living in a rural area without good water supply. And every day the child goes to their stream, their village stream, and fetches a bucket or cup of water and looks into that water, and that water is actually brown. But due to the fact that that child has not seen water from other areas, or that child was born into that color of water, the child thinks, well, it's normal. The child does not know that fundamentally you have the right to good water, and that thing is not good water. It is until that child has some sort of exposure or awakening in this sense that the child begins to say, wow, so that thing I've been drinking before is not even water. It's not the kind of water I'm supposed to drink. So that is actually, that thing had been harming me health-wise, because there is some sort of exposure. So same way people pass by the streets of life every day, aimlessly, without doing anything, because they are not awake. Maybe when you are awake, you see whether NEPA don't bring light. It's when a person that is awake that will know when NEPA brings the light. If you're not awake and your eyes are shut, it's like a blind man. Everything is dark. And so darkness becomes the perpetual existence of that person, or the perpetual reality of that person. So I wrote down here that a human being is made up of several giants. Several giants. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm beginning to feel really big. If I have several giants, it's not that I have just one giant to inside. I have plenty. Maybe in my head there's giant 1, giant 2, giant 3. I mean, in my hand, giant 4. Who knows? Who knows how many giants inside? But mind you, I am not talking about the physical giants, the large. Of course, if I was talking about the physical giant, if I don't explode now, because you won't be as small as you are. I'm talking about abilities. Every human being is made up of several giants, several of it. So the question is not about how many. The question is about how well. It is possible that throughout your life, you may never realize your full self. It's possible that throughout your life, you may never realize your full potential. But the question is, the one that you got aware of, what are you doing with it? The one that you've managed to know, what are you doing with it? So it's not about how many, it's about how well. How well are you handling that one you have? How well are you handling those 2 you have? So even if you have giants everywhere, that's abilities, multi-talented, multi-potentialites, what are you doing with that one you have realized? What are you doing? I mean, what are you doing with that one you have? I once heard a story of a young man who went to pray, and while he was praying, he saw another lady praying. I don't know how it happened, but then he said the Spirit of God, okay, first of all, he watched that lady for a while, and then I don't know whether it was the second day, but the story has it that one of the times he got a direction from the Spirit of God that told him to go and speak to that lady. And he said that initially he did not know what to go and tell the lady, but he still went there. So while he got there, as the Spirit said, he will tell you what to say when it's time. He met the lady and he started talking, and that was when he realized what he was to talk about. He asked that lady, hello, what are you doing here? The lady said, I'm here to pray. I'm believing God for direction. I want God to show me what to do with my life. I mean, I've been in this phase or that phase for a long time, and now I want God to show me what to do with my life. So the guy says, oh, that's amazing. I mean, I wish more people would actually have prayer meetings like this to find out themselves, because it's almost a problem that in our world today, people don't really want to ask God or find out what to do. They just want to get up and do it. So, but then he goes on to say, okay, the lady goes on to say, yes, I want to discover myself. I mean, I know that I have four main abilities. I feel it in my spirit that God has called me to be four things. I've realized three of them already. I've known what three of them are, but I will not start. I don't want to start until I find out the fourth one. Say God. Say God. And she's been, I think that was, I think the story has it that it was her fourth, the 40 days prayer and fasting. 40 days prayer and fasting. I'm not laughing at the prayer and fasting. Of course, it's beautiful to fast. It's beautiful to pray. I do it too. I'm laughing at the ridiculousness, if there's a word like that, of already finding four abilities. Four. And you've realized three. Okay. You think you have four. You realized three. And you don't want to start. You are praying for God to show you the fourth one before you start. See your life. Just see your life. And the person that told me this story was the person that met the lady directly. He said he was astounded. He was wowed. He was flabbergasted. He said, Kai, are you kidding? I think the guy even lost the whole spiritual quietness. He started scattering that lady. He started talking to that lady. He started drawing that lady up. And it was at that time that he was able to make impact. You can't have three abilities and you're waiting for the fourth one before you start. You're wicked. Kai, how can you be mean like this? You know, the thing I feel, the reason why people don't want to get awake or get up is because they feel that life is about them. You think it's all about your life. So you're like, well, I need to find this thing that has to do with me. I need to find it. If you realize that the abilities you have is not for you, and every time you waste time, someone out there is languishing because the earth waits for the manifestation of the sons of God. So if you're not manifesting, there's somebody whom you are being a detriment to. But no, you want to wait till you find out four abilities before you get up. Don't let me get you there. But as funny or humorous or inspiring or whatever this sounds, that's how most of us are. Because we know we have multi abilities, we don't want to get up until we find them all. We want to know it. Oh, Madam Clarity, oh, Clarity Master. Everything starts with you. If you don't know the beginning and the end, if you are not the Alpha and the Omega, you will not get up. I've already spent 32 minutes on this and I have 45 minutes. So I have to go into the next thing I wrote down here. Why do you need to get aware? I mean, someone said start with why. That most human beings will not do anything until they know why. And it's good to be like that because most times it is your understanding of your why that keeps you up when the rains come and on dry days when you can't do so much. It is your understanding of why that keeps you up. Thank God they finally brought light, so it's looking better now. Okay, so let's move on. Why do you need to understand why to awaken your giant? Why should you awaken your giant? The first one is the obvious reason that you cannot be anything until you get conscious of yourself. I said it already, that everything you will be in this life, if there's a life to come, even in the life to come, everything that you will be is as a result of your consciousness, your awareness, and you cannot get away when you're not awake. Excuse me, oil that is congealed cannot fry plantain until that oil is heated up by fire. That's when it becomes liquid. If not, it is what? Congealed oil. Most of us are congealed oil. And until you become aware, until you heat up yourself with the oil of awakenness, with the fire of awakenness, you will not go fry plantain. And when I say frying plantain, all those big dreams you have, you will not achieve them. Let's just tell ourselves the truth. You cannot be those things. I'm literally shouting because I'm passionate about this thing. You cannot fry plantain. You can't do all that. You can't make those impacts. You can't establish those businesses. You cannot travel, do all that vacation you want to do until you get aware. It's just simple like that. It's when you are aware, when you get awakened, when you get up and stop sleeping, that's when you begin to find areas that you need to venture in. That's when you begin to find areas that you had all this while ignored, not even knowing that they exist. So you see, if you're looking for a reason, if you're looking for why you should get awake, why you should start discovering all those things inside you, First reason is because you don't go be anything without it. The second reason, you're getting old. You're getting old. What do you ask, even if it's a 1 year old baby? You say, how old are you? All of us were getting old. The question is, how old are you getting? There's nothing so beautiful about living a life of purpose, living a life of awareness when you're still young. Did you hear that? There's nothing so beautiful when you have the strength of youth, when you have the mindset of youth, when you have the energy of youth. You can jump up and down. If you want to establish business, you can run after customers. Than when you have walking stick and your hand are shaking, when the ugly days come, when your eyes are dark, when other people are eating, enjoying life because they worked for it, and you're there, you can't do much. See, some people say they made it at 70. They got out. Someone said she woke up at 30. Good. Another person said they woke up at 70. Someone established something at 60. It's good though. It's good. But how about you establish those things younger? It's still good, Abby. It's even better because there's an age when you get to you cannot eat chicken. You begin to complain of cheese. Imagine a person waiting till they are 70. I mean, what will you be doing with your life till 70? And then they say, I woke up when I was 70. And someone even tells you, it's when you wake up that your day is. You know, Igbo people, and 70, what? Can you go on vacation and enjoy it? Can you go to America like this without feeling cold? I mean, young people feel cold, not to talk of an old person. So you see, if you want to be anything, it's now. You have to start now. You have to start getting awake now. You're not doing it for anybody. First of all, you're doing it for yourself, because if you're useful, you're purposeful, you are purposeful first of all to yourself before you benefit other people. So you're getting old. And the third reason is because nature abhors vacuum. If you refuse to get awake, someone else will get awake and take your place. And nobody will ever know that you existed, because you're not the only person around. Nobody will know that you lived, because you just existed like other people. I mean, it's a world of how many billion people? You can't expect one person's absence to be noticed. And nature too cannot tolerate any absence. So if you must do anything, it is now. Now is the time, and now is the hour. Live your life in that now time. I mean, yesterday I got so angry at something, and I was just walking up and down the house. I was just talking. I was so angry. I wasn't angry at anything, anybody. I was angry at myself. There are things that I think by now I should have started doing, or I should have done, that I have not done yet, and it annoyed me. I just told my husband, Kai, this cannot happen. Kai, because I'm still young now. I can still do anything now. In the next how many years, it won't be the case. And I have to work now that I have light. Light. The next thing is that you inspire others to awaken themselves when you do. Someone said, I think her name is Mariana Williamson, or something like that, or Miriam Williamson. She wrote a book called The Return to Love. And she said that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is not that we cannot do anything. I'm paraphrasing. That our deepest fear is that we think, who are we to be so beautiful, so gorgeous? Who are we to be so purposeful? But the question is, who are you not to be? That when you shine your light, you inspire other people to shine their light. There are people who will never get up until you get up. There are people, there are destinies hanging on your shoulders like this, that until you come to that state of awareness, they will never get aware. For example, Joseph in the Bible, he had that responsibility of being the person who understands the dream and who builds the silos that the Egyptians would store food and use it when the rainy days of famine came. Imagine if Joseph was not there. Of course, you would say, just like I said a few minutes ago, that nature abhors vacuum, so someone else will just get into place. But to him and his family, what kind of a legacy would he have left? But because Joseph understood himself, he encouraged other people to live their best lives. Same thing with you. If you and we don't get to that awareness stage, that awakeness stage, we will not inspire people to be the best of themselves. And the thing is that when the end comes, those lives will be required of us because they were ours to begin with. They were our responsibilities to begin with. Now let's look at the obstacles that stop people from awakening or getting awake or wanting to even awaken their giants. It's funny how sometimes I do social work. So sometimes I join people who go to the field to probably find social issues or volunteer education, girl child education, gender-based violence, and all that. And it's funny that sometimes you go to the field and you discover that these people know they have a problem, but they don't want you to help them. And there's no reason for that. They know they have a problem, but they don't want you to help them. How do you know they don't want you to help them? Because when you bring up help, they run away. Is it not funny that you see somebody who, let's say, cannot go to school because their parents cannot sponsor their training? And this person, an organization comes and says, I want to help you to go to school. How can I help you? And this organization carries out a survey and finds out the exact problem bothering this person. And this organization tries to, probably starts asking themselves questions on how they can help and how they can gather fund to help. They gather this fund, but when it's time to pay, they don't find this person anymore. It's either that their parents have said something or their parents are no longer interested. And the future of this child is maimed. Because obviously in our kind of world today, no matter how much we believe in talents and, there's still a place for education. So some people know that they should get awake, but then some people don't get awake because of some of these obstacles that I'm going to talk about. The first one is nurture. Some people have been trained through conditioning, through nurture to just be comfortable. Wetin dey happen, wetin concern me? If they like, make they run away. If they like, why life? If the world like said, make people end now, let all of us go and die. If they like say, make water come finish what again, wetin come concern me? I no care. Because they've been nurtured in that lifestyle or mindset of mediocrity. So it's a huge obstacle because there are plenty problems in this world already, and we need solutions. We don't need more problems. And when a person, because of nurture, cannot give their best to solve these world's problems, then that means that person is also a problem. And imagine if I decide to now get awake and solve problems. I will have to solve my problems and solve your own too, because you think this world should just end, let all of us die. If you're a person who has obstacles like nurture hindering you from getting awake to that point of unlimitedness that you should get to, it's high time that you started looking at yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're the person responsible for whatever you become. Whether you've been nurtured with a mindset of mediocrity, or you grew up watching your parents be mediocre, or you grew up watching your siblings not be much, or you just grew up to watch everybody around you go by as if you're just going by, let's just get by, tomorrow is another day, then it's your responsibility to start reconditioning yourself. Because there have been people who came from even worse backgrounds who became better. So it is all up to you to awaken the giant within. Now, the second obstacle is environment. It has something to do with nurture too, because a person's background is the first environment that they get exposed to after birth. But then I'm talking about the environment outside the home. There are people around them, probably because they come from a slum or they live in a slum. All they see is just all that is around them at that moment. And it's usually pain. suffering. So they get used to it. And they're like, well, if I want to get up now, they will say, I want to do wasabi. If I want to talk in public now, they will say, I want to show my face. So cool, let me just stay here and do what everybody's doing. Are you everybody? You cannot be everybody. You cannot be doing what everybody's doing and expect a different result. It's insanity to actually do the same thing every day and expect a different result. I mean, how does it work? You have to do something differently to get a different result. So you have to break out of that environment. You have to start from here first before you do it physically and break out so that you can awaken. And because of time, the next thing is ignorance. There are some people that don't even know that there's anything like giants inside them or that there's anything like abilities. When they see people doing great things, they're like, where did these people come from? Where did they come from? Because it is just something that they don't know, is that possible? But like I said earlier, every human being has giants inside them that is required of them to awaken to if they're going to be anything in life. And then there's this issue of mindset too. People think, I can't make it. If I start now, I will fail. But how would you know whether you fail or not until you start? Nobody great ever started anything in this life that became any big thing in a big way. Facebook did not start the big way that it is now. I'm using it as an example because almost everybody knows Facebook. Instagram did not start the big way it is. Many businesses did not start. In fact, if you hear the stories of most businesses there, you go just carry yourself, go find something to do with your life. Even Coca-Cola that we drink today, I think they said the first time they started, it was only 25 bottles that they produced, and it wasn't even in a bottle. I think it was in a cup or something. I don't have the full gist of the story. But today there are big companies. So if you don't start, you won't even know how far you will go. Now let's look at how. How do you get aware? How do you get aware? I can see it's already 46 minutes, so I'm rushing to round. The first thing is that how do you get awake? You need to get aware of the presence of your giant. You will always treat casually anything you're not aware of. So how do you get aware of this particular giant? I mean, I said to get awake, you need to get aware. But how do you get aware? The first thing is curiosity. Curiosity, they say, kills the cat, but saves a journalist. Thank God I'm a journalist. You too can operate from the standpoint of a journalist. It will not kill you. You're not a cat. And if you look into yourself to find out areas about yourself, then that's a good curiosity. Get curious. Ask questions. Ask questions. When you're in a garden, ask questions. Take time off to ask questions to yourself. I'm doing it these days more. I'm doing it more these days. And I'm finding fulfillment doing it because I'm getting to meet myself afresh. I mean, there was a time when I used to be everywhere on social media, and I'm still everywhere on social media to an extent, but now it's more defined. I used to be everywhere on social media, just doing everything and doing everything and doing everything. So at some point, it looked as if I became so encompassed, I be engrossed, that's the word, of everything out there that I didn't know myself anymore. So when I come back, a part of me is asking me, who are you? I'm like, at the point, I think I even started defining myself based on the work I was doing online. They were beautiful work, but you have to get to know yourself. So take time to know yourself. Ask questions to yourself. What do I want? Where do I want to be? How would I want to do it? What is my childhood video? What did I grow up doing? What did I love while growing up? How can I get up? How can I be more? What sites do I need to go to? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to do? Guys, see, get up. Ask questions like you're crazy. Because at the end of the day, you'll be crazy if you don't. Because you will not be everything you should be, and then you watch life go by, and that can drive you crazy. So if you have to be crazy asking questions. If you have to be crazy asking questions. That's the best form of crazy that you can be, because that kind of question will bring out the genius in you. That kind of question will bring you to a realization and awakening of what you did not even know existed. I say it again. If you must be crazy asking questions, because life will never give you answers until you ask questions. So you will never get to know those abilities inside you until you begin to ask questions. Ask yourself questions. If you have to ask others, but by all means, just be asking questions. And the next thing is learn. To awaken the giant in you, learn. Learn things that will build you. Learn the right thing. It's so easy to get distracted in the kind of world we live in today because there's so much going around us. I mean, when you're trying to digest this particular thing, another thing is coming up. It can be crazy. But remember what we said about asking questions. Also find ways to learn. Keep your knowledge updated. I said it before. That whatever you knew yesterday is all though. This thing I'm saying now, probably by tomorrow, it will be old because life is evolving. The world is moving so fast. So keep learning and take action, Kai. Take action. Take action. Action will always supersede inaction, no matter how little. It's better that you do one thing every day for 5 minutes than waiting till you know it all to do that thing 10 hours a day. You understand? Consistency will always pass intensity. If you want to study a book to learn, it's better you study one chapter today than saying you wait till weekend and study 20 chapters. One chapter a day will always be better than waiting till weekend to study 20 chapters, because there's something that happens when you compile activities. You may not have the mind to do them anymore. So keep learning, keep asking questions, just get so curious. I've found out that life will always provide answers to people that are curious, to people that want to know, to people that are engrossed, to people that are asking questions. There will always be answers to them. But if you're that person who goes by and comes by, then life will just be going by and coming back from you. But most importantly, do a soul searching and decide that you're going to be the best that you can be. It will not be easy. You have obstacles on the way. There are plenty of obstacles that I did not write. After all, this class is not exhaustive, but it won't be easy. It will be difficult. But let what guides you be the fact that you are gathering up for the challenge. Every day we are threatened, every day we are pushed. But as you're pushed every day rediscover yourself, and every day get awake. Thank you so much. So yeah, Damilare, I'm done my session.
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, I've been
Hi.
enjoying your session for a period of time now. Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. So, there are a few questions I would like to ask, and I don't know if should I send it to you now? All right, I'll do a typing
You can
right
ask
now.
them now. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, how can we reawake with based on belief system? Do you understand my question?
I want to make sure that I got your question. Yes, I want to make sure that I got your question because you were not really that loud. If you can increase your volume or the pitch of your voice, that would be most welcome. But let me ask your question so that I'll make sure that I understood your question. So you're asking, how can we reawaken belief system? Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Can you? Okay. So I want to understand. You mean
Yes, I can hear
a
you.
person whose belief system is dead already and the person wants to awaken it? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Let's use this as a small example. I'm very quick about it. Okay, yeah, I get the question now. If you're a farmer
All right.
and you planted vegetables, and one day you come in and discover that that vegetable has withered, probably because this is Hamatan and the air is really dry. The air is dry and it's difficult for any fruit or vegetable to grow now. So let's say you're a farmer and you come in one day and discover that the vegetables you planted have all dried up. Would you say, oh, my vegetables are dried up, there's nothing I can do, bye? Or would you find a way to make sure you bring those vegetables back to life? I want to assume that what you would do is to find a way to bring the vegetable back to life because you understand the benefit of vegetables. Okay, I'm seeing a different question here. I'm seeing a different question, but I'll quickly conclude what I was saying before I answer this one. Okay, so I don't know, Dami, are you saying anything?
No.
Okay.
We are back.
So I believe that because you understand the benefits of vegetables, you would want to find a way to resuscitate those vegetables. And then how do you start? First of all, you try to resuscitate by pouring water. You pour water on that vegetable, and then you find anything that is making those vegetables dry, anything that you can do. Let's say it's not harmattan, it's actually in the rainy seasons, but your vegetables are drying. You find what is making those vegetables dry and you clear them off, so that as you're pouring water, the water is entering into the ground and you wouldn't have to come back and keep doing this again. So if you find out that you once had a belief system that was strong, or a mindset that was strong, but then it's as if you've lost it, first of all, withdraw, come back. We are too engrossed in a lot of activities. I talked about it during when I was still talking, but still engrossed in a lot of activities. And because of that, we are not finding ourselves because we are here and there. So stop first. That thing you're doing, stop it. Come back first. They call it retreating. Retreat. Sit down, have a conversation again with yourself. Try to find out the importance of that new belief system that you want to inculcate. If you don't find out how important it is, if you don't find out why, chances are that no matter what anybody says, you will never get up. Because personally, sometimes if I don't find the reason, if I don't understand why I should do something, the motivation can be there for just a few days, but I will find myself going back again because I did not find out the why and I did not internalize it. So come back and internalize the reason why you want to get up again. And then look for all those things that made you go back to your old ways, made you go back to that mindset that does not bless you, and remove them. Sometimes it is us. We're comparing so much. We are jealous, we're envious, we're bitter. So with our mindset get clogged with all these negativities and bitterness. So remove them. And then a child who wants to walk will have to start by getting up, learn new habits, learn new mindset, be in the company of people who build you up, download things that build you up and listen to them. And also keep coming back to ask yourself questions and reflect. It's always, for me, reflection does it a lot better because in reflection, I ask concrete questions to myself and find answers to them. Now, there's another question on the screen now, which I don't know, it's a little different from what I just answered. How can we use our beliefs to change our lives? You cannot change your life without a good belief system. The totality of what you are today, what I am today, is because of the things I have believed in the past and the things that I still believe. Let's talk about public speaking for a while. Because I believe I'm a good public speaker, that's why I'm even here in the first place. So if I didn't believe that I was a good public speaker, I could never be here because I could never think that it was worth much to even do anything with myself in that area. So your beliefs are a sum total of everything. Your life is a sum total of everything that you have believed. So you must understand the importance of belief system. And you must, I don't know why this thing keeps coming back to this, but you must have some time off to let your belief system enter you. When your belief system and convictions have knocked you well, it will be difficult for anything to break you. People are inconsistent because they don't have strong belief in that thing they are doing. But when you have strong belief in that thing, even me, sometimes I'm inconsistent because I know to believe in that thing. It has not really entered me why that thing is important. So if you want to change your life with your belief, start thinking better, start thinking positively. Because whether you like it or not, your belief is changing your life. But it would be good and better if your life changed for the good because you're conscious of your thinking and you're thinking straight and are right. Dami removing the question from the screen means that I've answered it. So that's why I think I should say thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I'll
Thank
see
you.
you at the back end. I'll see you at the
All
back
right.
end
Thank you so
very
much for
soon.
the opportunity. Yes. Thank you so much. I
You're
really
welcome, ma'am.
appreciate everything. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you a lot.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Hello, good
Again,
evening, sir.
my right? Yeah, good evening, Mr.
Yes, I can hear
Larry,
you. Yes, sir.
right? Thank you
It's
very
my
much for
pleasure
ringing.
to meet you,
I
sir.
put the, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're, you're welcome, sir.
All right.
So we can start.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I believe you can hear me loud, right?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being on board for this information training room summit. I really appreciate Mr. Dada for putting it together. It's really not easy bringing this on board. I do appreciate you a lot, right? There are few people who are making this happen. And so my name is Emmanuel Uzochukwu, and I'm King of Public Speaking and the founder of Global Influencers Network Africa, right? So tonight I'll be speaking on something really important. Now, if you are watching me, I would love you to do something very important for me. Pay rapt attention to what I'm going to teach you, because this is going to change your life forever, right? We're talking on understanding innovation, unlocking the state of mind. Understanding innovation, unlocking the states of mind. Now, before I talk about how you can unlock the state of mind for you to be super creative, because I see that this summit is actually geared toward unlocking that creativity in you, awakening the hidden creativity in you. I think I'm correct. So, understanding innovation, the first question is this: what then is innovation? People have different definitions of innovation, but innovation is not you creating something new. Some people think, oh, for me to be innovative, I have to do something entirely new. No, that is not the definition of innovation. Innovation is you putting things that have already existed, they're already in existence together, and then forming something new from it. I repeat, taking things that has been existing, right, and putting them together to create something new. That is innovation. Now, if you are in business, you must have heard something like this, something like you take something that has been done before, right, and then add something new to it and go and sell. That is innovation. For those of you who are ladies who make your hair, there is something we call revamping of hair, right? Revamping of hair. That is innovation, taking something that is already in existence and then bringing up something new from that thing. That is the simple definition of innovation. And so, the first innovator on planet Earth, the first person that actually carried out this creative innovation is God Himself. I know some people will be like, what do you mean by is God? Okay, fine. Like I said, innovation is what? Bringing together what is already in existence and then forming something new, right? And so when God created the world, the Bible made us to understand from the book of Genesis, He said, and God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be fishes. And God said, everything God did, He spoke, right? And guess what happened? When He was about to make man, He said, let there be light. He said, okay, let there be man. No, he said, let us create man in our own image. And guess what he did? He took the resource, he created man. The earth was already complete without the existence of man. And so he took the raw materials that were available. That is why if you want to do anything today, you don't have to wait for heaven to open and then something special will fall down before you create that thing. Even the aircraft that we see, it was made from things that already existed. The mobile phone that you and I are using today, created from something. We never heard something like there was a supernatural power and something appeared from the spirit realm and there was nothing like that. Innovation is you taking something that is already in existence and then forming something new from it. So God was the number one person that actually proved this law in existence and then forming something new from it. That is understanding what innovation is all about. Now let's talk about the mind, and then I will go to how you can unlock the state of the mind to become really, really, really creative. Okay. All right, so sorry about that. Now, how then do you do that to become really creative? Now, we'll talk about the mind. Now, if you take a look at your dictionary, just a second, please. I need to fix up something. Just a second, okay? To fix up this slide. All right, hello, sir. Can you hear me? All right, I think we can continue. Now, I want to talk about the states of the mind, right? Now, if you check your dictionary, the mind means the faculty of thoughts, right, and consciousness. The faculty of thoughts and consciousness. Now, there's something we need to understand. The mind is one of the greatest gifts God gave to man. Do you know why? Because from the mind, you can generate powerful ideas, life-changing ideas. I mean, everything that you see today actually started from the mind. But you know something? If you allow your mind to actually consume anything, all the garbage on planet Earth, what happens to you? You will become less innovative. And so, if you truly want to be super creative, right? Because when you are innovative, it means already in existence, right? So, you have to control what comes into your mind, right? And so, the mind and the mindset are two different things as well. I want to establish that fact as well. The mind and your mindset are two different things. The mind is your faculty of consciousness and thought, while your mindset is your belief system. Now, your mind is what you use to think that it becomes a belief system that, okay, this is what you are living by. That is why you can think about that is why you can think about you can think about anything negative, but you don't believe in that. For example, you're a believer. Thank you so much for putting that together. Now, for example, you're a believer who know that there are people who are not believers and atheists and the rest of them. But it doesn't change your mindset. I mean, the fact that you're a believer. Are we getting value tonight? Right? Something does repeat and not come up with something that it does not receive. What do I mean by that? Everything that you generate from your mind to become creative and innovative was as a result of what you allowed from the external into the internal. There was nobody that was born on earth that became great all by his own. There must be a consumption of an external resources, of an external thing, right? That make the person to be able to become that creative. That's why a child, when he's growing up, he cannot just start talking. Before he speaks, he has heard it from other people. And whatever he's going to say is as a result of what he has heard from other people. What do I mean? You your mind out into your system. And so you now into your five senses, which are the sense of vision, the sense of hearing, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, and the sense of feeling, which is the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and the skin. Whatever you allow into any of this system is what you are going to get at the end of the day if you want to be innovative and creative. What am I trying to say? You have to be conscious of what you allow into the system, right? You have to be very, very conscious. And let me tell you something, you can't control it 100%. You can't control what you get from outside world 100%. It is not possible at all. You can control it to a level. That's why there are people who said they are not on Facebook, right? Because they feel there are some things that will corrupt their mind as on Facebook and all of that stuff. Listen, my friend, you can't avoid these things, right? You can't avoid seeing them popping up on social media and the rest of them, but you can prevent yourself from seeing them. You can prevent it from going into your mind and forming a kind of mindset. What you allow, what you have thought within for a long time. God, what's this now? All right, so sorry about my artificial light just misbehaving. All right, I believe we are still here. So what I'm trying to say is this: you mind what, because even the Bible said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Now, before the mouth will speak, the mind has been saturated. Has been saturated by what? But what by what it has received from the external world. So your creativity will not just come from the inside. Whatever it's going to be will be as a result of what you have consumed in your mind. And so you can think about anything but not truly believe in that. And the question now is this: how can you become really innovative and unlock the state of your mind? Like I said, all the resource you need has been provided for. Everything you need to become innovative has been provided for. All you need to do is to look for the materials that are made available and then create something new from the inside. I believe you're getting value tonight. And so, how then do I do this? I'm going to be giving you about 7 points, right? Now, these 7 points are going to help you to unlock the state of your mind and become really creative. But I started by establishing the fact that you can be creative because the resources have been made available for you, and then you can accept what comes into your mind. You can reject what comes into your mind, because what you constantly allow to come into your mind is what becomes your belief system, which becomes your mindset. And so number 1 point is acknowledge the fact that you can be creative. Acknowledge the fact that you can be innovative. If you can acknowledge this fact, trust me, you will begin, because life is 100% spiritual. The universe is 100% spiritual. And so there must be an alignment with a belief system with the external world. There must be an alignment with your mindset and the universe. And so number one is believing the fact that, yes, I can be innovative. I can be creative, that all the resources I need is made available to me, whoever I am, wherever I am. And guess what? Most of the greatest innovators and creative people in the world are people who never had the kind of privilege that you have today. Your background is even far better than they had, but because they understood that they can be creative, they were really really, really creative. And so, number one is acknowledge the fact that you can be creative. Then, number two is mind what you consume from the external world. Mind what you consume from the external world. Now, this is a very important factor as well. What do you consume? What are the things that go into your mind? What kind of books do you read? What kind of movies do you watch? What kind of podcasts do you listen to? What kind of music do you even listen to? When you consume any garbage, every garbage, let me tell you something, your level of innovation is going to be very low. The greatest innovators on planet Earth are people who consume positive things every day. Let me be honest with you. If you are reading a book, do you know that from that book, you can actually come up with a sentence? You can just read one particular sentence, and with that sentence, you can generate a whole book. You think about content. And I'm lacking ideas to create content, and you're not reading books, or you're reading books and you're not taking notes of the important things there, or you're not even reading at all. If I ask some of you here, how many books have you read since this year? It's obvious that some of you are still in your first book. It's obvious some of you have not read any book at all. What am I trying to say? You get ideas from reading books. A book can give birth to another book. One sentence, one word can give birth to a whole book. One sentence can give birth to a audience that can listen to me. One podcast that you listen to can generate ideas that can change your life forever. One webinar like this, one summit like this to do years, you get a word, a sentence, a podcast forever, and you become innovative. Innovation is taking what is already in existence and creating something new. Right? So what do? Consume something positive every single day. Read a book at least 15 pages. For me, I read 50 pages every day. Read at least 50 pages of something positive. Listen to good podcasts, good messages, attend webinars and summit like this. And each time you do these things, do you know what you're going to do for yourself? Always pay attention to yourself. What is in for me? What is that thing that was meant for me? Just people go to church and the pastor will tell them, listen to the word of God. There is a word from God for you tonight and all of that. That is the same thing you should do. Each time you listen to your role model or like this or read a book or listen to a podcast, the mindset should be, what is in for me? What is that word that will transform my life? What is that word that I can take and form something new from it? Right? And so you have to understand your friends as well. Association. It's not what I mean by consume something positive. Because when you are among people who are not creative and innovative, there is no way you can be creative. They say that you are average of 5 people you spend the most of your time with. So what I'm asking you today is, make sure you consume something positive. If you have friends who do not think like you, do not as who are innovative, who are going to advance business and forever. Right? That's the second point. And then number three is, you have to think creatively. That's the point. A lot of people find it difficult to think. You know what you think about? You think about your problems. You think about the fact that you've not eaten. You think about your school fees. You think about, it's okay to think about your school fees, but what I'm trying to say is this: you think about problems in quotes. You think about only challenges is the way forward. For you to engage in creative thinking, you have to be looking for solutions. You make our life every single day and give yourself creative thinking. Because creative thinking, you'll be able to come up with ideas. You're not thinking about problems. You're not thinking about challenges. You're thinking about the way you do. You are thinking a way forward. You're thinking about solutions. Let me tell you something. There are companies that hire people to think for them. I repeat, there are companies that hire people to think for them. All they hired you to do is to just think, guys. So you have powerful. Look at iPhone, Apple by Steve Jobs, right? They come up with new products every single year. It was iPhone 8 the other time. Now it's iPhone 12. Now it's iPhone 12 Pro Max. Hello, what am I trying to say? They had a thing that sits down and asks them, so okay, now we have been, what can we do to become to what, how can we apply our innovative ability to make this happen? And so before you know it, it will be out. They are constantly thinking how to improve the system. So again, in creative thinking, and this creative thinking is to look for solutions and not problems, right? And the first point is listen. I repeat, listen. Please put in the comment section, listen. Now, what do I mean by this? Most of you here do not listen at all. You talk, and talk. But that spirit, that still voice that was supposed to talk to you is silenced. I have gotten ideas. I have gotten ideas from listening, by listening, right? That have generated millions. I have gotten ideas. Sometimes, if the reason I got, I was just in the bedroom of bed, and then the idea came, and I wrote it down. You are too noisy to listen. You talk too much to listen. There are ideas that are popping up in your mind. Voice was speaking to you, but because you were not listening, that's how you lost it. There is a voice that is always talking to us. See, listen, this happens to everybody. But the problem with you is that you have to listen. It happens to everybody. You should listen. It's a voice that speaks to you. That's why anywhere and everywhere I go to, do you know what I do? I go with paper and pen, even if I'm in the toilet. Why? Because I understand that as an as someone who always considers positive, there is a still voice listening to me. And this still voice will always come to you if you are constantly consuming positive things. I repeat, this still voice will always come to you if you are constantly what? Consuming positive things. But if the still voice comes once in a while, if you're constantly reading books, constantly listening to webinars, attending summits like this, you will definitely get ideas that will change your life forever. And so you must be able to listen to that voice inside of you to be able to get that idea and become really innovative. Then number 5 point is question everything. Question everything. Great people question anything and everything. Rich people question everything and anything. And so, if there is something that you see, you really want to, you ask question, how can this thing be improved? What are the consequences if I actually embark on this journey? When you are able to question things around you, you'll be able to find the options that are suitable at that particular moment. So you should be able to question everything around you. Number 6 is choose the best option. Choose the best option. The best option that suits what you're doing, choose that particular option. And then number 7 is execute. Don't procrastinate. Now you've gotten an idea. Now you are ready to make things happen. Execute. Execute. Right? Now I'm gonna go through this. If you have any question, you can drop it. It's that way. Let me know. Right? So let me go through what I taught today. I said understanding innovation, unlocking the state of mind. And then I said that innovation is not creating something entirely new. No. Innovation is looking at something that already in existence and then forming something new from it. That is innovation. And I said that God is the number one innovator. God created the earth. He spoke, let there be light, let there be this, let there be that, and everything came into existence. But when he was about to create man, he said, let me make man in our own image. And what happened? He did not say, let's make man. No. He said, let us make man. And then he took from the things that already exist. That is innovation. Man is the product of God's innovative ability. Put that in section. Man is the product of God's innovative ability. So that establishing the fact that all the resources you need for innovation has been available to you. The mobile phone that I'm using today was not made from heaven. It's not from the sky. Everything that we're thinking about today did not come from paradise. Did not come from another planet. From things that were already in existence. The cars, see the Lamborghinis, the Ferraris, the Rolls Royce, and all the motorcycles were seeing, all of them are what the vehicles were are what are already in existence. It's not actually asked himself how did this happen. He took the raw materials that were available, and so you are not really lacking resources, lacking what your resources, but resources are available to you. And then we got the mind. The mind is the greatest, one of the greatest weapons that God gave to man, because with mind, anything, you can be anything, you can do anything, right? So the mind, the thought and consciousness, right? But then there is difference between mindset and the mind. The mind is where you think, you're something, you think about something. So the mindset is you believing in something, is you establish a belief system. That's why you can think about atheists, but you're not an atheist. You think about people who don't pray, you're not being establish a different kind of mindset. But then it is as a result of excess accumulation of the things that go into your mind that eventually forms a mindset. Right? That is why a child will wake up and start whatever the child is going to say is something that he or she has been constantly exposed to. Right? So constantly exposed to, it is going to make you. Right? That is why it has to be just what allow into your body, your system, into your five senses, which are the sense of vision, the sense of hearing, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, and the sense of feel. Your eye, the ear, the tongue, and the skin. Right? You have to be conscious of what you allow into these your senses. And then I say you don't have 100% control of the things you allow into your system, because your mind accepts anything. The mind accepts anything. You can go to the grocery store to buy something, right? And then you just get something that you don't want to share. You heard it. Your mind has perceived it. But when you constantly think about it and constantly listen, and you are exposed to it, it becomes a mindset, right? So you may not be able to control 100% on that. You can control anything that is around you. And I say that the point for you to come along the state of your mind and become creative, innovative, is that number one is to acknowledge that you can be innovative. And Mark's teacher's word is innovative. You can be innovative. Anyone, no matter your background, you can be innovative. Is consume positive things, read books, positive things. What kind of what's their thing? What's their thing for what would they think? I do think about positive things, right? It doesn't matter. It's all interesting. Educate this is what you're doing. not anything, you're not supposed the heart, the mouth speaks, because whatever makes the heart to be saturated and to become abundant is of access to the things that are external. You have to be very careful of what you actually allow in your system. And they said that a single word, you read a book and generate and give birth to a new book. A single sentence can give birth to you say your content on the book. You say your content in the webinars. You say your content list. You say your content be among friends who are innovative, right? Because generating content can change your life, change your business, and all of that. So each time you are going to listen to things like this, read books, ask yourself, the question should be, let's find something that is meant for me. What is that word? What is the statement? What that thing that is meant for me to change my life? And if you are so that you will be able to get that. And then number 3 is engage in creative thinking. Think, make up time every single day. Like you can start with 20 minutes, you can start with 10 minutes, right? Make out time to think every single day. People only think about their problems. People only think about their challenges. People only think about the fact they are owing money. You engage in thinking about the problem is going to compound. The problem will work is on, right? But then you think about solution. You will be able to find solution to anything. And then I said that people to them. If you are very good, you will get high. That will have iPhone 12 because they put new products every day. The thinking system. So what I'm asking you is, do you have a thinking system? And I'm afraid is into the still void. So yes, that's the voice. You every time you should be able to listen to that and be dollar ideas. People have generated billion-dollar ideas from, so you're not talk to more energy and then all right
Hello, good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay, wait, was there any work?
Sir,
I'm speaking to my network.
I think it was the
Can you?
network, sir.
Okay, fine.
But we are good
Right,
now,
okay.
sir.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
I'm
sir.
right. But you got right? Yes. So if there's any other questions, we can quick for tonight.
Yes. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you very well.
All right, sir. So, I really appreciate you for tonight. So, but I want to ask quickly, the what are the driving force to be innovative and be creative at the same time?
Dream for innovative and creative.
Yes.
So, now, first you need to understand that innovation and creativity goes together. I think it's not necessary to start. Hello. Oh, I think I continue.
I'm with you, sir. There was a break in transmission at your end, sir. So
So I still hear.
that's what happened.
Okay, it's no. There's no. So you talk about level of creative and innovative at the same time.
Okay.
Wait, now
Yes, sir.
you can be creative. You can put them together. That is based on innovation. You want to be
Okay.
innovative
Noted.
and it means you are creative. Because
Wow.
everything that we do in this world was result of someone idea, which is creative, it's actually creative. So that's actually right. So I right. Once you show you hear
Yes.
okay. So when you are innovative, you are creative. But then you can be creative and not innovative. Repeat. When you are innovative, you are creative because then creativity becomes innovative, or you can be creative but not innovative, right? Because what you're doing
Okay.
an innovation, you are creating something new for something that is already exists. But you can hardly be creative or operating on someone's creativity or on someone's innovation. So it's about together when you are innovative and creativity is on its own innovation is not a line with this right now. But on what was the driving force? What the driving force? Now, the driving force is you first. For example, I'm a kind of person that I'm innovative. So every time I go to the my years, I just go and it's that it's not every time.
Yes.
I want to be an innovative person. You have to say it in your mind. You are it. This first thing that was the first step is for you to acknowledge that you're innovative. So you think that
Good.
I will consistently be innovative, but I think they should be forward. Because you now form not just in your mind, you cannot become system. So when you now say it and believe in that, it also needs to and then you will start sending things away to help you to become innovative. And number two is you must do something that has not been done before. Don't create something new for something that's already in existence. Right?
Sure.
And so that's kind of something that also drive you to the innovation. If I tell you, I always talk about one thing that helps you to unlock a lot of things in your life. And so if you want to be innovative, when someone asks you, what exactly do you want to be innovative? If you're why the reason you want to be innovative is not enough, then you're the position you're consistently you are building. No, it has to be a driving force. So that means it's not going to compel you to become innovative consistent. I think that's reason why you want to be innovative is something that keep you on track and help you to always be innovative.
Noted, sir.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that part a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
You are very welcome.
Yes, sir. Anything else you want to share with us, sir?
Okay, yeah, you can see my group name. Finally, class there absent now, right? It's so I so my story on my everything. So that low level to Africa with manuals. But there's something I really created for people in this platform. I had to create it.
Yes, sir.
I have to create for people on this platform. Now, it's a 5-hour mastermind. I'm expecting this on Wednesday. Now, I'm still unlocking
Okay.
and over 6 years of experience in 5 hours. Now, the title of the thing from discovery to fidelity.
Yes, sir.
From
Noted.
discovery to profitability. What I mean is, there are people in here who are yet to discover who they're going to be. I like to learn how to innovate. The question I want to ask you is, what else do you know, discover yourself? Purpose. Who else you can get from this, right? Person speaking career. Oh, it's not free. I was making money.
Yes.
Like, seriously, I didn't know how. I didn't know what. I didn't know anything until I had to figure myself. Speak where I was upon the borders. But then I was getting from this.
Wow.
I have a huge time. I was on this temptation that it is 1 minute now. Say, but on the side where oh, the first one I was even others, I did myself. I was on the active. That's the whole level. So I not put on anything about anything about creative product. Anything about possibility. Oh, I have something I did not know how. I
Okay.
yes. What is it for position for? Number one, if you decide what to do something, or you're trying to get something massive. So how you going to have joint section? I am you from scratch. It who I am before the
What is
we
that?
start to cover yourself, find always not I didn't know how because nobody gave me how to do this. And so yeah, so quite and you know for more you are facing you are you to place. But question is who am I? How do I because you have to this to discover yourself, not just the for it. So it is mine is self-discovery and discovery. So when you how to discover your life's mercy, when you about how to make life about create further self from the message to talk about how to develop a money magnet mindset, a money magnet mindset, and then we talk about how to write a book in 7 days. There's some of the authors. How do you write a book in 7 days? Right? And so many others revealing so many things here. Self discovery. I just discover how to discover purpose and mission how to money for message. I don't know how to create a purpose. I how to deliver to the a one magnet. I'll try a book in 7 days. I'm going to be unveiling my experience of 5 hours. Right? It's going to be on Wednesday. Now, this class is not for free. It's not anyone is free, right? I said to if you know, thank you for that. So if you know you should need this, right? And you want to move not just from point A to B, but level life from discovering who you are to profiting from it. How to practice and I could charge 50,000 for this and negotiate. Like the class is 10,000 naira, but for those of you that come from this particular platform, see, ITR platform, you are get access to this class for only 3,000 naira. Small for the group that you can access to us. So that's for only 3,000 naira. So there you can be part of the 5 hours session. So this session with myself. I'm going to bring it. Right, so I'm talking about how to develop money magnet mindset. Okay, so from discovery to profitability, you can start from scratch and begin to make money from it. I am going to be unveiling it to you. And if you are having issues monetizing what you love, making money from it, come on board. I will teach you that. If you are having issue with discover yourself and knowing exactly how to go about it, come on board. I am going to teach you. So I will send flyer to your to your boss. That's Mr. Damilare. He's going to send a flyer to your Facebook group or so that you can get more details and get on board. All right. So that's the end of my session for tonight. I have to run to prepare for my other class. I believe you got that tonight, and I want to say thank you so much. Thanks so much for being on board. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on board and bringing me a great honor. It's a rare privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
So
We
I'll tell you more
appreciate you, sir.
details. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. I will.
Do it.
So I'll see you at the end, sir. Back end.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. After 1 or 2 years.
No, it's not been 2 years. It's been like 1 year. Definitely.
It's long ago.
It's been long. It's been quite long, you know, but I'm glad to see the progress and just looking at the process of everything and like how far you've come. It's amazing to watch.
Thank you.
It's been a metamorphosis.
It's thanks to people like you that were on board from the onset. You know, it could have been a different story. But
I actually don't think it would have been a different story. I think like you've always had your head screwed on your shoulders, and you just kind of needed us to give you a little bit
guide
at the back of your head. But you know, I mean,
Definitely.
it was amazing. It's been amazing working with you because I don't feel like. I don't feel like I had to do so much. I feel like, yes, you know, it was great providing that guidance and using, you know, the effort that we put in as a team, but like you kind of had an idea of what you wanted.
Yeah.
There was that intentionality. I'll talk about intentionality, but first of all, I wanted to just kind of chat a bit about these COVID times, right? So how's it been for you?
Well, for the world, it's challenging, but personally, I'm not going to lie, for Toby Bakre, it's been a great time.
Yeah.
You know, family's safe, I'm safe, but it's also giving me that space of time to just look inwards,
Right.
self-develop, you know, be content, be happy, appreciate life for the simplicity you know, it provides and all of that. So, and work has been going fine also.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to lie. So it's also a time to give back.
Yeah.
You know, because right now it's a time where a lot of people are in need. So if God is blessing, you know, this is a period of casting down. If God is blessing you, you should definitely extend. And there's the fulfillment that kind of gives. So it's
I definitely think it's been a time for pruning as well. Like just getting rid of the things that.
Yes. Like in this period, I've dropped a lot of old habits. I've picked up new habits. Like my lifestyle has taken like a 360.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of even friendships, in terms of things I consume mentally and physically, in fact, food, all of that. My lifestyle has changed, exercising has changed, you know, everything has just taken a hold to, and you know, it was this time of inactivity that just gave me that time to say, okay, you know what, these are the habits in the next 20 years you'll be happy for. Right. And these ones you can comfortably do away with. Right. Because there were a lot of things that I used to do that I didn't believe like, oh, okay, I'll be able to do it with it.
Like what?
Like the party, for instance. Like all the things I understood to be fun. Right. I've not been able to do them in like so long, but I'm still having fun. I reduced alcohol. In fact, for a long time, I stopped taking alcohol. Right. And, you know, I didn't feel some type of way.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And I think like it's also a great time to repair and rest your body, right? Like, because when you're working and you have multiple things going on at the same time, so you're working, you're socializing and all of that stuff, your body is just like working overtime. So between your full body and then like your brain, right?
I think you just feel like you've given too much. There are points I feel like I've given too much of myself. Right. Like in talking to people, in socializing with people, like I just feel like I've given too much. So this time just gave me. Nobody knows the new. I don't think a lot of people know the new Toby. There's a new Toby. Right. Where I was months ago and where I am now is different. But
so you're evolving, and that evolution is beautiful. I think like, you know, COVID has had its challenges, and I think I like to just empathize with the fact that, you know, we're all going through it, and of course there are the tough parts of it, but ultimately to be able to see the gratitude parts, right? To look at like what you're grateful for and to just kind of keep your energy up, like knowing that we don't have a choice, we're here. Like we're here. So the sooner, you know, we try to kind of navigate our way through it, I think the better it is for most people. I want to talk about intentionality. I kind of started this off discussing that. I remember before you went into the Big Brother house in 2018, you know, me and you had sat down, and I think with Mr. Fisher as well, and we had this whole conversation about you going into the house. And one of the things that was very striking for me is like you were very intentional about what you wanted to do when you go into the house. Like you were going to be spontaneous, but you knew that you wanted to use the house as like a springboard to your dreams, to the things that you wanted to do. And I remember you saying very clearly, you were like, I don't want to come out of there and everybody's like, oh, they only know me as Big Brother contestant. I'm not just a Big Brother contestant, and I think that, that intentionality was amazing. So how did you at that point, like how were you so intentional about what you wanted?
Okay, for me, starting off from the background I'm coming from, I'm a product of two bankers. I'm a finance graduate. I'd even at the time done 4 years in the whole corporate industry. So for me to navigate and be moving to a different and kind of unknown field, I couldn't just go and be like, okay, this is whatever it's going to be. Regardless of everything that was going on, I wanted a professional outlook. I wanted not like certain results, but I wanted a guide. Like, okay, you go on the show. By the time you get off the show, they should know you for things. They should know you for things that make sense. It shouldn't just be the entertainment value alone. They should know you for actual value. Because with everything we do in life, there should be purpose behind it. I'm still in life trying to figure out the purpose or the bigger picture, but like in between, there are things like it should be guided. So at that point in time, it was just, I want to go on the show, but when I come out, I really don't want to be seen as just that Big Brother guy. Like personally, I know what I come with, intellectual, I'm on point. When it comes to the
yeah, we know
you
this.
agree.
We know this. I agree. Yes.
So like intellectual point on the social end, I'm on point on the business end. So like it's just like a full package. So it will be me shortchanging myself if I only sell one angle of it or one point of it. So it only made sense to. And then I also didn't at the time. If I'm going to be very honest, I didn't have the full picture in mind. I just knew this platform would give me leverage to other things. I wasn't 100% sure as to the other things it would give me leverage to. I just knew I'll make sense of it, And in doing that, or at the time I came to you to talk about it, it was more like, which is one of the life lessons. Sometimes you don't have the answers. Look for people with bigger minds, with smarter minds that, they can sort of look at where this thing is going and look at how it can make sense. And, you also trust their judgment. So I came to you because number one, I trust your judgment. And number two is I know you have insight, like you know what will make sense. So for me, it was just a no-brainer. Like, okay, I'm going to do my bit. But in cases where, I don't know it all, I also have someone who has more exposure and is more knowledgeable, and I trust them that can kind of still navigate things. So eventually, when I come out of the house, like regardless of how things have gone, I know, okay, there has to be sense in everything that is on.
And I think I love that you're sharing this, because I think that's very important with a lot of young creative people as well, right? Like we come from a culture, we're in a culture where sometimes like there's this perception, of like, oh, don't trust people, don't collaborate with people. And, a lot of people come out from great platforms where they have opportunities and the head is not correct, right? Like they come out like, oh, like I can do this myself. And you can kind of tell the difference between people who go in with a plan and then people who like don't have any idea, what they're going in for, and they come out that way. I feel like, when people go into shows like that, we forget that they're coming out tired. They're coming out, you're in a house for so long, and then you have so many obligations that you still need to fulfill in terms of appearances, events, all of that. And in that moment, right, there's just only so much energy that you can give. But if you have like a team that is helping to solve some of the other outstanding problems, it just makes it easier. Otherwise, you have to do all
that yourself. That point is very, very, very tactical, or very, how do I call it?
Pivotal.
Because it's a time where now you have to tell the world what you want to do. Like, okay, we're done with the entertainment part. Now this is the business angle. This is the brand angle. This is what I want to be known for. And this is what you're going to be seeing and hearing from me. So in that moment, if more of the conversation is still tied to the show, it still kind of ties to the show.
Absolutely, yes.
So everything you do henceforth is just still tied to the show. But then if you have a team, then they are able to help you curate, divert people's thought process. Like, okay, he's from the show, but now, okay, this is what
he's also got these different.
And then the audience or the attention is at its loudest.
Yeah.
Then so like a lot of people are watching.
Yeah.
So that's the best time to communicate what you want to do.
Yeah, it's definitely the best time to leverage, and I think it is also a time to decide, what. Or you need to have decided before, but to be able to say, look, I'm not going to take every single opportunity that comes, because we also know that a lot of opportunities showed up that we're just like, yeah, this one sounds like a good deal today, but in 3 weeks, 4 weeks time, it's not going to be a great opportunity, and I think that was, those were part of the things that were really helpful. And I think beyond even business, because you're talking about the business side, but then there's also the mental, emotional, physical, financial aspects of that, because you don't get money immediately.
Yeah, broke celebrity. Very broke.
It doesn't come out immediately, and then even just like mentally, I think having like Femi, for instance, just lighting up everywhere, because I feel like he played such a critical point, because it's like, yes, we were looking at the business aspect, but then Femi was really able to get into your mind in terms of, okay, bro, you're now out of the house, like chill, relax, what do you need? Oh, let me make you laugh, and we sometimes take those things for granted, but they are so important.
Very, very, having that support system.
Yes.
Because even till now, like a lot of things Femi has told me, my brother, happen to be things that just still help me navigate through this whole thing. Because Femi will just tell me, like, if you didn't have this platform, forget it. What will you do? What will you post normally? And it kind of still guides me, because sometimes you get lost in, what do people want to see? What's going to get the most attention and whatnot. It's just like, man, do you? People that like you for you will still be there. It might be 10 of them, but 10 of them are better than having 1 million people that are just really watching and really don't care. So like, having all of that. And then, when someone knows you, so like, the communication was seamless. It just, like, I came out and I could tell, like, okay, whether I did good or I didn't do well enough, without him saying anything, like from my brother's rapport and everything, I could tell, like, man, Gucci, bro.
yeah. And I know what you mean by that, because like with Godwin, for instance, like when Godwin strings violin, so whenever Godwin performs at an event and like people are screaming and they love his performance, sometimes he just looks to see my reaction, because I understand music, right? Like there are times when I can hear if the violin is a little bit off and nobody else notices, so everyone else is like screaming and clapping, and he'll just come up and he'll be like, yeah, Mama, what do you think about this?
You personally have that effect on a lot of people, because even till now, some business decisions I make, I still look at it like, if Adara happens to run across or come across this, what would be our opinion? What would be our call? Would it be like, oh, nice one, Tobes? Or would it be like, this boy is just collecting money everywhere? That's how it's so. Sometimes it guides me. So like a clap from 1 million people might be different from a clap from that one person you respect their judgment. So it's
even though I don't know why you respect my judgment, but it's fine. We'll move on. All right. So I wanted to talk about, I want to talk about like your energy, because while you were in the house, you were always like, in the top 3 in terms of the games. So like whenever there'll be games and anything that had, in fact, not just games, any challenges, any contests, any challenges, you just always had energy. And so you were always like, making the top part. And I feel like you had this winning mentality. You came out of the house and it's the same thing. It's like this winning mentality where you're always pushing boundaries, whether it is in terms of, the work that you do. So you came out and you're like, oh, I want to act. And it's like, okay, have you acted before? You're like, I don't know, I'm going to act, and then it's like, oh, I want to host stuff, I want to do this, I want to, and I even remember one of the first events that you hosted, and you were a bit nervous, because you're like, I've never really hosted something on this level, and you went there and you killed it, like, right, with your energy, and I've seen it in your fitness as well, so I want to talk about that energy, like, where do you get that energy from?
For me, I'm always in competition.